First Contact's Deception. The galactic conclave's central chamber stretched impossibly high, its crystalline walls refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the Tribunal of Seven, her diplomatic robes carefully arranged to project an image of cultural sophistication masking military precision. The aliens towering above her represented the most powerful species in known space, each one certain they were about to welcome another subservient race into their carefully ordered hierarchy. High Arbiter Caxtol, a towering figure with iridescent scales and multiple sets of compound eyes, leaned forward on his gravity throne. "The human delegation honors us with their presence," he announced, his translator converting the clicks and whistles into smooth standard galactic. "We have reviewed your petition for protected status within the conclave. Your species shows promise despite its limitations." Sarah allowed a carefully measured smile to cross her face, one that appeared grateful but masked the cold calculation behind her eyes. Through her neural implant, she could sense the positions of humanity's hidden fleets, carefully scattered throughout nearby systems, waiting for the signal. The Conclave had no idea that every human diplomatic mission in the past 5 years had been setting up quantum communication relays, preparing for this moment. "We are humbled by the Conclave's consideration," Sarah responded, her voice carrying the perfect note of deference. Around her, the other members of her delegation, all specially trained military officers disguised as diplomatic staff, maintained similarly submissive postures. Humanity recognizes its place in the greater galaxy. A ripple of satisfaction passed through the assembled aliens. The Mirake representative, a being of pure energy contained within an ornic mechanical shell, pulsed with approval. "At least these humans understand reality better than the Krith did," it communicated. "Perhaps they will not need to be pacified." Sarah suppressed a grimace at the casual reference to the Krith, a species that had refused conclave protection and mysteriously vanished from galactic maps shortly after. The Conclave's message was clear: submit or face extinction. It was a threat they had successfully employed for millennia. What they didn't know was that humanity had discovered the truth about the Krith. They hadn't been destroyed. They'd been enslaved, their population scattered across hidden labor camps throughout Conclave space. Human deep-cover agents had spent years documenting these atrocities, building a case that would shatter the Conclave's carefully maintained image of benevolent leadership. High Arbiter Caxtol raised a ceremonial staff, its crystalline tip gathering light. "Let us proceed with the protection ceremony. Your species will be assigned a patron race, who will guide your development and ensure you do not stray from approved technological paths." Sarah's neural implant pulsed with an incoming message. The fleets were in position. Throughout the chamber, her team received the same signal, imperceptible changes in their posture telegraphing their readiness. The next few moments would determine whether humanity would take its place as equals in the galaxy or be forced to fight for its very survival. "Before we proceed," Sarah said, her voice taking on a new edge that caused several alien representatives to shift uneasily, "I believe there are some matters that require clarification." She reached into her robes and withdrew not a diplomatic seal, but a small quantum projector. "What is the meaning of this?" Caxtol demanded, his previous benevolent tone vanishing. "The ceremony does not allow for this," Sarah cut him off. "Activating the projector is evidence of what really happened to the Krith." The chamber filled with holographic images. Vast underground complexes filled with enslaved aliens, conclave warships bombarding civilian populations, secret documents detailing the systematic subjugation of uncooperative species. The chamber erupted in chaos. The Mirake's containment shell flared with agitation, while other representatives either recoiled in shock or surged forward in rage. Caxtol's scales darkened to a dangerous shade of violet. "You dare," he roared, energy crackling around his gravity throne. "Guards, seize them." Sarah's smile turned predatory as she activated her neural implant's combat protocols. Around her, her diplomatic staff, dropped their submissive poses, revealing the military precision beneath. "I wouldn't," she warned, as hidden defense shields shimmed into existence around her team. "Unless you want to explain to your citizens why you are attacking an official diplomatic delegation." Through her implant, she sent the signal that humanity's intelligence agents had spent years preparing for. Across conclave space, quantum communications arrays activated, broadcasting the truth about the Krith to every civilian communications network. Simultaneously, human warships began emerging from their hiding places, their advanced stealth technology having rendered them invisible to conclave sensors. "What you're feeling right now," Sarah continued, her voice carrying clearly through the chaos, "is fear. Fear that your carefully constructed hierarchy is about to crumble. Fear that everything you've built through deception and force might be taken away. Fear that perhaps, just perhaps, humanity isn't here to submit to your protection. We're here to break your stranglehold on galactic civilization." The chamber's security systems activated, energy weapons deploying from hidden compartments. But before they could fire, Sarah's team activated their second set of quantum projectors, revealing another truth the Conclave had tried to hide. The location and specifications of their primary defense networks, mapped out through years of careful observation. "You have two choices," Sarah announced to the stunned chamber. "You can either order those weapons to stand down and begin real negotiations, as equals, or you can discover exactly how much humanity has learned about your defensive capabilities in the past 5 years." Her neural implant showed her the positions of human warships, now surrounding every major conclave military installation. "Choose carefully." High Arbiter Xaxtol's compound eyes narrowed as tactical data streamed across his visual cortex. The humans hadn't just positioned their ships well, they had somehow managed to place them at the exact weak points of the Conclave's defense network, points that should have been impossible for them to know about. You planned this from the beginning," he realized, his translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in his voice. "Every diplomatic mission, every trade delegation, was gathering intelligence," Sarah confirmed. "While you were busy being impressed with your own superiority, humanity was learning, preparing. And now," she gestured to the still-playing holographic evidence of the Conclave's true nature, "now we're ready to ensure that no other species suffers the fate of the Krith." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't come to join the Conclave's carefully ordered hierarchy. They had come to break it. The art of misdirection. In the tense hours following Ambassador Chen's revelation, the Galactic Conclave's mighty central spire had transformed from a seat of absolute power into something resembling a besieged fortress. Emergency meetings erupted in every chamber, while encrypted communications bounced between Conclave worlds in a desperate attempt to verify the humans' claims. Commander Elena Santos stood on the bridge of the HSS Nightshade, her ship hidden in the shadow of a gas giant's largest moon. Through quantum entanglement feeds, she watched the chaos unfold across Conclave space with grim satisfaction. 5 years of careful planning were finally bearing fruit. "Status report," she commanded, her cybernetic eye interface scanning multiple tactical displays simultaneously. Her XO, Marcus Wong, responded without looking up from his station. "All fleet positions holding steady. The Conclave's automated defense networks remain unaware of our presence. Their civilian networks are still broadcasting our data packets about the Krith camps. Social unrest is spreading across 3 major sectors." Elena allowed herself a small smile. The Conclave had spent centuries convincing their citizen species that they were benevolent protectors. Now that carefully crafted image was cracking, and the truth was pouring through like water through a broken dam. "New transmission from Ambassador Chen," the communications officer announced. "The tribunal is demanding proof that our fleet actually exists. They think we're bluffing." "Of course they do," Elena muttered. "They still can't believe we managed to bypass their detection systems." She opened a secure channel to the ambassador. "Sarah, time to proceed with Phase 2. The ambassador's holographic form materialized on the bridge, her diplomatic robes now discarded in favor of a military uniform. Confirmed, Elena. Let's show them exactly what they've been missing. Elena turned to her tactical officer. Signal the fleet. Execute protocol revelation. Across 20 star systems, human warships began powering up their primary systems. The stealth fields that had kept them hidden didn't so much deactivate as transform, shifting from perfect concealment to an intimidating display of power. The Conclave's sensors, finally able to detect the human fleet, lit up with hundreds of alarming readings. In the conclave chamber, High Arbiter Xaxtal received the tactical updates with increasing horror. The humans hadn't just positioned a few ships. They had somehow managed to deploy an entire battle-ready armada throughout conclave space without detection. More disturbing still, the human vessels displayed technology that should have been impossible for such a primitive species to possess. Impossible, the Miraque representative pulsed frantically. Their energy signatures, they're using quantum-fold technology. We banned that research centuries ago. You banned it from other species, Ambassador Chen corrected, her hologram now displayed in multiple chambers simultaneously. Humanity never signed your technology restrictions. We developed everything independently, protected by the very stealth systems you thought were beyond our capability. Elena watched through the quantum feed as the tribunal members began to realize the full scope of their miscalculation. The humans hadn't just hidden their military strength. They had achieved technological parity with the Conclave's most advanced developments, all while appearing to be nothing more than another primitive species seeking protection. Multiple Conclave warships deploying from their core systems, Marcus reported. Their command and control networks are lighting up. Let them come, Elena said calmly. Maintain current positions but activate our defensive screens. Let's show them what human engineering can really do. The first Conclave warship to approach a human vessel was a dreadnought class, its hull gleaming with weapon emplacements. It moved with obvious confidence, its commander likely expecting to find inferior technology that could be easily overwhelmed. Instead, their initial scan of the human ship's defensive capabilities caused them to immediately halt their approach. They're scanning our quantum shields, Marcus noted with a hint of pride. Their tactical computers are having trouble even classifying our defensive systems. Elena opened a channel to all human ships. Remember, we're not here to start a war. This is about showing strength while maintaining discipline. No aggressive actions unless directly threatened. Across conclave space, a new reality was taking shape. The species they had dismissed as primitive had somehow managed to surpass many of their technological restrictions. The humans hadn't needed the Conclave's protection. They had been quietly building their own path to the stars, unfettered by artificial limitations. Ambassador, Elena called. How are our friends in the tribunal handling the demonstration? Sarah's hologram smiled. They're beginning to understand that their choices are somewhat limited. The Krith Liberation Fleet is in position, and our evidence of their slave camps is causing massive unrest among their client species. I believe they're finally ready to discuss terms. And the Krith themselves. Our infiltration teams are in position at 12 major labor camps. Once the tribunal agrees to our terms, we can begin the liberation immediately. Elena nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. Humanity had spent years preparing for this moment, building their strength while appearing weak, developing technology while seeming primitive, and positioning their forces while playing the role of supplicants. The greatest misdirection in human history was about to reshape the galaxy. New transmission from the tribunal, the communications officer announced. They're requesting a ceasefire and formal negotiations. As equals, Elena exchanged glances with Sarah's hologram. This was the moment they had worked towards, not just proving humanity's strength, but forcing the Conclave to acknowledge it without triggering a devastating war. Tell them, Elena said, that humanity would be happy to negotiate, this time without any pretense of submission or need for protection. She paused, then added, and informed them that our first demand is non-negotiable, the immediate liberation of all Krith slaves and the restoration of their independence. As the message was transmitted, Alina watched the tactical displays showing human ships positioned throughout Conclave space. They had achieved something unprecedented, outmaneuvering the galaxy's greatest power through patience, deception, and carefully planned revelation. The art of misdirection had served humanity well, and now it was time to reshape the galaxy into something better. Breaking the chains. Deep within the largest Krith labor camp on Nexus VI, Captain Maya Patil checked her quantum stealth field for the third time. Around her, 30 members of Earth's Special Operations Forces waited in perfect stillness, their advanced combat suits rendering them virtually invisible to the Conclave's security systems. Through her neural interface, she monitored the status of similar teams positioned at 11 other major camps across Conclave space. "All teams report ready," her AI assistant whispered in her mind, awaiting final authorization. Maya's attention shifted to the real-time feed from the conclave chamber, where Ambassador Chen was delivering humanity's terms. The tribunal members' initial shock had given way to a dangerous mixture of fear and anger, particularly from High Arbiter Taxtol, whose scales had darkened to an almost black shade. "You cannot simply demand the release of our workforce," Taxtol was saying, his translator struggling to maintain diplomatic language. "The economic implications alone are not our concern," Sarah cut him off. "The Krith are a sentient species you enslaved through deception and force. Their freedom is non-negotiable." The Mirakai representative's energy form fluctuated rapidly. "The humans do not understand. The Krith camps are essential to our industrial base. Immediate liberation would cause chaos." "Perhaps," Commander Santos' hologram interrupted, appearing beside Sarah. "You should have considered that before enslaving an entire species." Maya smiled grimly as she watched the exchange. The Conclave's representatives were finally beginning to understand that their carefully constructed system of domination was about to crumble. Her teams were proof of that. They had infiltrated the supposedly impregnable labor camps using technology the Conclave had thought impossible for lesser species to develop. "Signal from command," her AI announced. "Operation Liberation is authorized. Commence on your mark." Maya opened a secure channel to all SOF teams. "Remember your training. Primary objective is Krith liberation with minimal casualties. The Conclave's guards are not to be killed unless absolutely necessary. We're here as liberators, not conquerors." She received 30 acknowledgments, then gave the signal. Across 12 star systems, human special forces teams sprang into action with choreographed precision. On Nexus VII, Maya's team moved first through the guard quarters, their neural interfaces connecting with the camp's security systems through backdoors planted months ago. Within seconds, every guard in the facility was locked in their barracks, their weapons systems disabled. "Main control center secured," her second-in-command reported. "Beginning override of containment systems." Maya moved swiftly through the camp's main corridor, her enhanced vision taking in the stark contrast between the Conclave's outward appearance of benevolent civilization and the brutal reality of their labor camps. The Krith, tall, graceful beings with crystalline exoskeletons, were confined in cramped cells, forced to work in conditions that would have horrified any truly civilized species. "This is a liberation operation," she announced through the camp's communication system, her words automatically translated into the Krith language. "We are human forces here to free you. Please remain calm and follow our instructions." The response was immediate. The Krith, despite their imprisonment, had maintained their dignity and intelligence. They emerged from their cells in orderly groups, their crystalline forms catching the light in ways that reminded Maya of cut diamonds. "Unknown energy signature approaching," her eye warned. "Conclave Rapid Response Fleet." Maya smiled. They had expected this. "Commander Santos, you're up." In space above Nexus VII, the HSS Nightshade and its battle group decloaked directly in the path of the approaching Conclave ships. The alien vessels, suddenly faced with human warships that far outclassed their own, came to an abrupt halt. This is Commander Elena Santos of the Earth Liberation Fleet. Elena's voice transmitted across all frequencies. These facilities are now under human protection. Any attempt to interfere will be met with appropriate force. Back in the conclave chamber, the tribunal was watching in horror as similar scenes played out across their territory. One by one, their supposedly secret labor camps were being liberated by human forces that seemed to materialize from nowhere. How? High Arbiter Xaxil demanded, his composure finally cracking. How did you achieve this level of technology without our knowledge? Sarah's expression was steel. While you were busy maintaining your illusion of superiority, humanity was learning, growing, and preparing. We developed in secret precisely because we saw what you did to species you thought were becoming too advanced. Maya watched the exchange through her neural feed as she continued coordinating the liberation. The Krith were emerging in greater numbers now, their crystalline bodies humming with what her translator identified as songs of freedom, ancient melodies passed down in secret during their captivity. Human, one of the Krith approached her, its crystalline form shifting colors in what she recognized as a sign of respect. I am Elder Kextal. We had almost lost hope that anyone would come for us. Maya deactivated her stealth field, letting the Elder see her clearly. We've spent years preparing for this day. Your people's suffering ends now. Through her neural interface, she received updates from other liberation teams. The operation was proceeding smoothly across all targets. The Conclave's vaunted security systems, designed to keep the Krith in, had proved useless against human technology designed to break them out. Status report. Commander Santos's voice came through her comm. How are our guests? Liberation proceeding ahead of schedule, Maya reported. The Krith are organizing themselves with remarkable efficiency. No casualties on either side. In the conclave chamber, Ambassador Chen was laying out the next phase of humanity's demands. The Krith will be restored to their homeworld, with full autonomy and protection from human forces until they can rebuild their own defenses. Additionally, all conclave records of their enslavement will be made public to every species in your territory. The tribunal members were silent, their power to simply command and be obeyed broken by humanity's show of force and technological superiority. The galaxy was changing before their eyes, and they were powerless to stop it. Maya turned to Elder Kextal, who was helping organize his people for evacuation. Transport ships will be arriving soon to take you home. Your people are free. The Elder's crystalline form resonated with emotion. We will remember this day. Humanity did what no other species dared. They broke our chains. As Maya coordinated the evacuation, she reflected on the irony. The Conclave had spent centuries ensuring no species could challenge their power, only to be undone by the very species they had dismissed as primitive. Humanity hadn't just developed in secret, they had turned the Conclave's own arrogance into a weapon against them. The chains were breaking, and the galaxy would never be the same. Tables turned. The Galactic Conclave's emergency session stretched into its third day. The massive chamber, once a symbol of absolute authority, now felt more like a court where the accused awaited judgment. High Arbiter Xaxtil's gravity throne, traditionally positioned above all others, had been lowered to the same level as the human delegation, a symbolic gesture that spoke volumes about the shifting balance of power. Admiral James Chen, newly arrived from Earth Command, stood beside his sister Sarah, both watching as the Conclave's representatives argued among themselves. The Mirakay's energy form had dimmed considerably, while other species' representatives showed various signs of distress or agitation. The humans cannot simply dictate terms, a Valaxian counselor insisted, his crystalline appendages clicking nervously. We have protocols, traditions. Your traditions, Sarah interrupted smoothly, included enslaving an entire species and lying to the galaxy about their fate. I suggest we focus on the future rather than defending the past. James stepped forward, his military uniform a stark contrast to the ornate robes of the Conclave members. Let's be clear about the situation. In the past 72 hours, humanity has demonstrated technological superiority in stealth systems, quantum communications, and defensive capabilities. We've liberated 12 major labor camps without a single casualty, and our fleets maintain strategic positions throughout your territory." He paused, letting the implications sink in. "We could have chosen to respond to your enslavement of the Krith with force. Instead, we're offering you a chance to help build a better galaxy." Through his neural interface, James monitored the ongoing Krith evacuation. Captain Patel's teams had performed flawlessly, and the freed Krith were already being transported to temporary settlements on human-controlled worlds. Their crystalline faces, once dulled by captivity, now shimmered with renewed hope. Director Zhang's report from Earth Intelligence. "Sir," his AI assistant whispered in his mind. "The data packets about the Krith camps have reached 87% of Conclave's civilian populations. Public unrest is spreading faster than their information control systems can contain it." Exactly as planned. The Conclave's power had always rested on carefully maintained illusions of their benevolence, their technological superiority, their right to rule. Those illusions were shattering one by one. "Perhaps," High Arbiter Xaxel said carefully, his scales shifting through various shades of uncertainty, "we should discuss the humans' proposed reforms." On the massive holographic displays surrounding the chamber, footage from the liberation played on repeat. Human ships effortlessly bypassing Conclave defenses, special forces teams appearing inside supposedly impregnable facilities. The joyous emergence of freed Krith, their crystalline bodies catching the light as they boarded transport ships. "The terms are straightforward," Sarah stated, bringing up a detailed holographic document. "First, immediate recognition of all species' right to technological self-determination. No more artificial restrictions on development." The Mirake representative pulsed in objection. "But our restrictions prevent dangerous technologies from threatening your control," James completed. "We've proved those restrictions only serve to maintain your dominance. That ends now." A Nexarian delegate, their biomechanical form humming with agitation, raised an appendage. "And what prevents these newly freed species from developing weapons to destroy us all?" "The same thing that prevented humanity from using our advanced technology to simply conquer you," Sarah replied. "The understanding that true civilization is built on cooperation, not domination." Through his neural link, James received updates from the human fleet. Commander Santos's ships had finished deploying the new quantum communication network, ensuring no species would ever again be silently enslaved without the galaxy knowing. Captain Patel's teams had secured the last of the labor camp's databases, documenting centuries of Conclave atrocities. "Second term," Sarah continued, her voice carrying across the chamber. "The establishment of an interstellar council where all species have equal representation. No more hierarchies, no more protected species status." High Arbiter Xaxtol's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. "You would destroy centuries of stable governance." "We would replace oppression with genuine cooperation," James corrected. "Your stability was built on subjugation. We're offering a chance to build something better." The chamber erupted in overlapping arguments, but James noticed something interesting through his tactical feeds. The younger representatives, particularly from species more recently inducted into the Conclave, were showing signs of agreement. They had grown up with stories of the Conclave's benevolence, only to learn that their supposed protectors were capable of enslaving an entire species. New data from the Krith settlements, his AI reported. They're already beginning to reorganize their society. Several of their scientists have expressed interest in collaborating with human researchers. James smiled slightly. This was what humanity had hoped for, not just liberation, but the beginning of genuine interstellar cooperation. The Krith, despite their centuries of enslavement, had maintained their cultural knowledge and scientific curiosity. Free from conclave restrictions, they could now contribute their unique perspectives to galactic civilization. There is, of course, a third option, Sarah added, her voice cutting through the chamber's chaos. We can withdraw our forces, taking the liberated Krith with us. But understand, we would also withdraw our offer of peaceful cooperation. The galaxy now knows what you did to the Krith. How long do you think your authority would last without our help maintaining stability during this transition? The threat was clear. Humanity had not only outmaneuvered the Conclave militarily, they had shattered their moral authority. The choice now was between accepting a new galactic order or facing the collapse of their entire system of control. High Arbiter Xaxtal's scales shifted to a deep blue. A colored James xenobiological database identified as indicating acceptance of the inevitable. Perhaps, the Arbiter said slowly, it is time for the Conclave to evolve. Around the chamber, other representatives began signaling their agreement. Not out of enthusiasm, James knew, but out of recognition that their options had run out. Humanity had turned their own tactics against them. Patience, deception, and the careful accumulation of power. But unlike the Conclave, humanity's goal was not domination, but liberation. The tables hadn't just turned, they had been completely reset, and in their place, something new was about to emerge. A new balance. 1 year after the liberation of the Krith, the newly established Interstellar Council held its first formal session. The chamber, built on neutral ground in a previously uninhabited star system, bore little resemblance to the hierarchical design of the old Conclave. Here, all representatives sat at a circular table, their positions determined by lottery rather than status or power. Ambassador Sarah Chen watched from Earth's designated seat as representatives from 27 species filed in, including several that had been classified as protected under the old regime. The Krith delegation entered last, their crystalline forms restored to their natural brilliance after a year of freedom. Elder Kextal, now serving as their chief representative, nodded respectfully in her direction. To think, Commander Elena Santos whispered from her position behind Sarah. A year ago, they were trapped in labor camps. Now they're helping design the next generation of quantum drive systems. Sarah smiled, remembering the astonishment of human scientists when they discovered the depth of knowledge the Krith had maintained through their captivity. Their unique crystalline biology gave them insights into quantum mechanics that human researchers had never considered. It was exactly the kind of collaboration humanity had hoped for. First quarter progress report, her AI assistant murmured in her mind. Krith refugee resettlement 89% complete. Joint human-Krith research projects showing promising results in quantum computing and zero-point energy. Former Conclave worlds experiencing continued social reorganization with minimal disruption. The chamber's ambient lighting shifted to signal the session's start. Rather than the imposing ceremonial displays of the old Conclave, a simple holographic representation of the known galaxy floated above the central table. Scattered throughout it were thousands of points of light representing worlds, stations, and ships of all species, now free to travel and develop as they chose. High Arbiter Caxtal, who had insisted on giving up his title but was still respected for embracing reform, rose to speak. His scales shimmered with a new color pattern that the xenobiologists were still trying to interpret. 1 standard year ago, he began, his translator conveying a tone of humility that would have been unthinkable in the old regime. I believed I was defending civilization by maintaining the Conclave's system of control. I was wrong. Through her neural feed, Sarah monitored reactions across the chamber. The former Conclave species showed signs of discomfort, but also acceptance. The freed species, including several that had been on the verge of being protected before humanity's intervention, displayed various gestures of approval. The humans, Caxtal continued, showed us a different path. Not through conquest, which would have made them no better than us, but through calculated revelation of truth and an insistence on genuine cooperation. Captain Maya Patel, newly promoted to Major, appeared on Sarah's neural display. She was overseeing the final stages of the Krith resettlement program. The last group of Krith scientists just arrived at the Jupiter Research Station, she reported. They're eager to begin work on the Joint Defense Initiative. that had been one of humanity's masterstrokes, proposing a collaborative defense network that all species could contribute to and benefit from. Instead of the conclave's model of enforced restriction, the new system encouraged sharing of knowledge while maintaining necessary safeguards against genuine threats. The Miraque representative, their energy form now stable after months of adjustment, took their turn to speak. The transition has not been without challenges. Many of our worlds struggle with the rapid pace of change, yet we cannot deny the benefits of true cooperation. Sarah stood, knowing her next words would be broadcast across thousands of worlds. Change is never easy, she acknowledged. Humanity faced similar challenges during our own development. But look at what we've achieved in just 1 year. She gestured to the holographic display, which shifted to show various collaborative projects across the galaxy. Krith crystal technology merged with human quantum engineering. Former conclave weapons facilities converted to research centers. New trade routes establishing links between previously isolated species. Our strength, she continued, lies not in domination or control, but in the combination of our diverse perspectives. Each species brings unique insights, unique capabilities. Together, we can achieve what none of us could manage alone. Elder Kextol's crystalline form resonated with approval. The Krith remember our imprisonment, they said, their translated voice carrying centuries of pain, but also hope. But we also remember who freed us, and how they did it. Humanity could have chosen revenge. Instead, they chose reconstruction. Through her neural interface, Sarah accessed the latest reports from Earth Command. Admiral Chen's fleets had transitioned from their defensive positions to exploration and peacekeeping roles. The quantum communication network now reached every known inhabited system, ensuring no species could ever again be silently subjugated. We face new challenges, she acknowledged to the chamber. There are still hostile forces in unexplored space. Some former conclave hardliners resist change. But for the first time, we face these challenges as equals, each contributing our strengths to the common good. The holographic display shifted again, showing the location of the first joint human-Krith research facility. Its design incorporated elements from both species. Human pragmatism merged with Krith crystalline aesthetics. Similar collaborations were appearing throughout known space as species discovered the benefits of genuine cooperation. The galaxy is changing, Sarah concluded, not through force or coercion, but through the simple power of truth and the recognition that we are stronger together than apart. As the session continued, Sarah received a private message from her brother. Admiral Chen's fleets had detected unusual signals from beyond known space, possible signs of new civilizations. Once, such discoveries would have been seen as opportunities for conquest or protection. Now they represented chances for peaceful contact and mutual growth. The old balance of power, built on deception and force, had crumbled. In its place, something new was emerging. A genuine partnership of species, each maintaining their independence while working together for common benefit. It wasn't perfect, and challenges remained, but it was real progress. Humanity had achieved what they set out to do, not by becoming conquerors, but by being liberators. And in doing so, they had helped create a galaxy where strength came not from domination, but from cooperation. As Sarah looked around the chamber at representatives of species that a year ago had been locked in hierarchical conflict, she allowed herself a moment of pride. The humans hadn't just changed the balance of power, they had redefined what power meant in the first place. And that, perhaps, was their greatest achievement of all.